You live, you assess, you take inventory, you self-reflect, but you continue living while you're doing all of that. Hiding out and waiting for the perfect moment ain't gonna get it, girl. Life is meant to be lived. You're supposed to get up, you're supposed to get out, and you're supposed to do something. Hey y'all, it's Kiki. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the one way that you are supposed to live life. The only way that you are supposed to live life is to simply just live it. Life is meant to be lived. And that's the end of the video. Goodbye. I'll see y'all later. So, girl, okay, especially nowadays with all the social medias we have, it seems like everywhere you go, everybody has advice on how to do what. Do these 3 things to get your manifestation. Do these 5 things to get him to fall in love with you. Do these 16 to get her. It's everybody has the blueprint or the instruction manual on how to get to the life you want. And I'm here to tell you, there is no right or wrong way. There is no set way to get to life. Not to get to life. There is no set way to live life. The only way to live life is to live it. That is it. It's just really, it becomes very exhausting and it becomes very confusing, because especially if you do not have your own discernment, or if you don't have your own way of thinking, you will take one person's advice and then take another person's advice, and their advice kind of contradicts each other, and you don't know to go left or right, keep straight, go backwards, or what. That's why you need to just live life, and you will figure out what steps to take, what route to take, where to go as you live. Life is simply about trial and error. You cannot escape the two. Life is about trying things out. Maybe you get them right, maybe you get them wrong, maybe you get them right the first time, and maybe you keep getting wrong and it just don't work for you. You gotta try something else. Life is simply about trial and error. It's simply about the ups and downs. It's about the positive, the negatives. You're not gonna be exempt from bad things. You're not gonna be exempt from some form of work or some sort of hard work or some sort of, I'm not just talking about work as in going and punching the clock. I'm saying self-work. I'm saying mental work, emotional, spiritual, anything. You're not going to be exempt from those things in life. If you've been on TikTok, or I don't know if it's on YouTube too, but anyways, there has been this trend called the 75 challenge, the 75 hard challenge, the 75 soft challenge, the 75 medium challenge. Child, it's a 75 challenge, where basically in 75 days, consistently, you're supposed to read a certain amount of pages, drink a certain amount of water, exercise a certain amount of days, just do all of these things to try to build, I guess, the habit of doing it. And while that may work for some people, it's not gonna work for everybody. I guess for me personally, when you think about these challenges and things like that, and these different trends that pop up that are supposed to get you to be a better you, the only way that you can become a better you is if you just get your ass up and do the work. Okay, you can read as many books, you can do as many 75-day challenges, you can take as much advice if you want to, but the only way that you are going to go about learning what actually works for you is going through the process and going through the journey, which is life itself. Now, I'm aware that not every single thing you have to go through in order to get the lesson. A lot of us, I know especially me, when I like to use other people as examples, or I like to look at other people's lives just to learn their lesson as well, so I don't, end up in the same situation. And I think a lot of us do that. A lot of us look at people and we realize, okay, they were not the best when it came to money management, or they are not the best when it comes to friendships or relationships or jobs, X, Y, and Z. So because this person did this, I'm going to make sure I avoid taking this route, because that route almost always leads to failure. Maybe I'm going to go about it a different way. Now, I can't say that, of course, learning as you go is very important, but you can also learn from other people's experiences as well. You don't necessarily have to go through every single thing that the person who came before you went through in order for you to gain that lesson. But overall, you can't just sit back and wait for everybody to do the thing and see if they fail and before you decide to jump in. Sometimes you're just gonna have to jump in and do it. A lot of the reason why people, including me, do watch or have watched a lot of these advice videos is because people fear failure. People fear messing up. They think that their failure is going to define them as a whole. But one thing I can say, when I listen to people speak, especially the greats like Will Smith, Denzel Washington, all of the people who have really like put in the work and they are successful people, you hear people like that say things like fail and fail hard. You cannot be afraid to try. You cannot be afraid to fail. You're gonna fuck up. You're gonna look crazy. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna make mistakes. And then life goes on. I also noticed that, I know me as well, I used to struggle with wanting to go through the process because a lot of us, we see this goal and we just want to hurry up and get to the goal. We don't want to go through the process of it. I know, like, if you're somebody who has struggled with your fitness journey, I know I have, child, with your fitness routine, you can't seem to just stay in the gym consistently. You can't seem to just work out consistently or eat, the way you're supposed to consistently because you're so caught up in that goal. You have to shift your focus to the process and not the goal itself. Because when you think about it, if you continue to do these things consistently, you're going to reach the goal. You can't fail if you stay committed and keep going. There's no failure all in all. Yeah, you may have mess ups on the way and those might be small fails. But when you have a goal like losing a certain amount of body weight or toning your body or maybe body recomposition, there's no such thing, or any goal, not just fitness goals, but if you have a certain goal and you stick to it, there's no way that you can just fail in this enormous way. When it comes to the process itself, you may go on TikTok and see a fitness guru post about a recipe. You may try that recipe and it may be nasty as hell. And you might think, okay, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Or, you might see another fitness guru do a certain type of workout routine and you can't keep up with it. Okay? Things like that, I guess you can consider those small fails, but honestly, it's just your way of learning what works for you and what doesn't. Because that recipe might have been bad, but the next one might just be the one that just sets it off and you'll be like, okay, I got me a recipe, now it's time for me to find another one so I can build up and be able to meal prep and X, Y, and Z. Or same thing with the workout routine. Like, you may not like running or something. Like, you may really be trying to drop weight quick and you think that running on a treadmill or running miles, at a trail or something like that is going to speed that process up for you. But then you figure out that, hey, just because my favorite fitness influencer likes running, I don't like running. Like, you have to figure out what works for you. You can still very much reach that goal. You just don't have to go about it the same way that everybody else does. And I feel like people fail to realize that everybody's process is not going to look the same. Everybody's journey is not the same because it's your journey. It's specific to you. It's your own path. You can pick up certain things from other people. You can pick up little tidbits and little pieces of advice or little things that they do, but all in all, trying to follow someone else's total formula on how to reach your goals is not going to work for you. It's not, because that's their formula. Okay? Now, no, I said what I said. I was going to backtrack, but no, let's front track. Let's pedal forward. I think, for example, I've talked about writing in my past videos, but that's not the only thing that I do. I don't draw or paint as often as I write because writing is just second nature to me at this point. But when I do, because drawing is not something that comes to me so easily, I have to trust the process. I have to sit in the process, right? Let's just say I go on Pinterest and I see this cute picture that I really want to draw and I feel like I can draw it, and I can, but I don't dibble and dabble in drawing a whole lot, or maybe I'm just new to sketching. I have to go through that process. I can't sit there and try to force myself to get this picture to come out unless I go through the whole process. I'm going to go through a lot of erasings. I'm going to go through a lot of like over sketching, having to go back, erase this. Maybe the line is too curved, it needs to be straighter. Maybe the circle is too wide, it looks like an oval, it needs to be more like a circle, you know, like so on and so forth. But I think that's what's important when you go through the process and the journey of life, is figuring out, it's being able to go through those many trials and errors so that you can get to the greater goal. Failure is inevitable. You cannot avoid failing. You cannot avoid messing something up, making a mistake, going about it wrong. You cannot avoid that. I know that when I was younger, I used to really, really struggle with making mistakes because, like I said, I thought that making mistakes or messing up or some form of failure would overall define who I am, or just further prove that I'm not really who I think I am, or I'm not as smart as I think I am, not as talented, you know, etc. The fact of the matter is, mistakes just goes to show that you're actually trying, that you're actually doing something. If you're not making mistakes, you're probably just sitting on your ass all day. Oh, like if you're not having moments where you're like, okay, I could have did that better, or I could do this a bit differently, or okay, that's not working, let's try something else. Are you really living life? Are you really out in the field like you say you are? I don't think you are. I wanted to touch on that because the process is very important, and there is no getting around. I just don't feel like there's no getting around the process. Now, let me say, everybody's process is different. Some people's processes are very long and drawn out. Some people's processes are very short, sweet, and to the point. But nonetheless, your process is your process. But you figure out what your process is by learning yourself, actually sitting down and figuring out what works for you. I'm a very inquisitive person, and I love to question everything, including myself, including my own thoughts, my own beliefs. Sometimes I have to make sure it's not rooted in something that didn't come from me, and I have to make sure it's not rooted in just something negative or something that's not beneficial. But I feel like the best way to somewhat figure out what your process is you need to ask yourself, like, what feels natural to you, what comes as second nature. You know what I mean? Like, when you think about the things that you are really, really good at, think about that thing that you are really good at that other people swear up and down it's going to take them forever to accomplish, whether that be drawing, singing, dancing, doing hair, doing makeup, speaking, you know, being a conversationalist, you know, your intelligence, anything. Think about that thing that comes natural to you. What comes very easy for you? What is the automatic yes? What is like, no matter what, this is the thing that I want to do. This is the thing I want to hone in on. This is the thing I want to focus on. But then you have to ask yourself, what are you naturally repelling? Like, what is it that no matter what, you do not vibe with this thing? It does not feel right for you. It doesn't work for you. What does it drain you? Is it taking a toll on you? Like, what's really going on? Like, does it make you feel bad? Do you lose energy? Hell, do you lose brain cells? Like, you just have to figure out like what doesn't feel good and what doesn't help help within your personal evolution, I guess you can say. But it's just that way you're able to kind of draw out what you want your process to look like, so that it is more realistic for you to reach that goal. I don't want to necessarily say easier, because what may be easy to me is maybe hard to the next person, so on and so forth. But I think that when it comes to a lot of these advice videos, it's not as realistic as they should be, and some of them are not relatable. You can watch as many advice videos as you want to, and some may work and some may not, but nothing is going to change until you actually figure out what works best for you. How does the saying go? What's good for the goose ain't good for the gander? What does that even mean? You know what? Just stop saying shit you don't know what it means. Oh my God. Nothing is going to work for you until you do your work first. Nothing's going to stick unless you figure out what will stick. Because if you don't know yourself, if you don't do your inner work, then you're just going to be constantly searching for the easiest formula and the easiest way out, or the quickest shortcut to get to your goal. But if you don't even know what works for you, hell, that's not going to work for you, because you don't even know yourself like that. So it's like you have to go through that process first. That process of asking yourself those questions, really learning who you are, and then being able to be like, okay, I can listen to this person because this aligns with me because I know who I am, but I don't need to take advice from this person because this does not align with me. It doesn't align with my goals. And I just don't want to put that pressure on myself because I know myself. There is no set way to go about living. I feel like I said this already, but I want to say it again. There is no set way to live. Life is changing on a daily basis. Things change, people change, rules change, laws change. Everything is changing on a daily basis. There is no set way to live life. What may have been your go-to when you were 21 years old may not be your go-to at 31 and 41 and so on and so forth. Everything changes as life goes. But that's why it's important to evolve as a person, because the last thing you want to do is not be evolving as life does and as the world does. You don't want to necessarily look up 10 years from now you're in the same exact place doing the same exact thing because you thought that, oh, I have to just take this one path because there's only one way to go about it. You can literally be on one path, and if that path doesn't work for you anymore, make a left and take another path. And then if that path doesn't work, make a right and take another path and make a U-turn and go back to this path. You know what I mean? Like, it's whatever works for you. You live, you assess, you take inventory, you self-reflect, but you continue living while you're doing all of that. When I say that life is meant to be lived, you cannot spend all of your life sitting around. You cannot waste every moment of your life trying to answer those questions. You can answer those questions and you can live life as well. You do not want to waste every single moment of your life trying to heal and trying to be this perfect person and trying to be the absolute, trying to solely focus on your healing, that you're not allowing yourself to engage and indulge in the good things and just have a good time. I find that it's a lot of people who are waiting to live life because they feel like, oh, I cannot do this thing until I get past this trauma. I can't do this thing until I heal my mother wound or I heal my father wound. You can do both. You can be living life and working on yourself at the same time. You don't have to choose one or the other, right? Now, while I do have a video on isolation, and while isolation is important, you don't want to stay in it for too long. You need to get out, and you need to be moving, and you need to be also working and living at the same time. You need to be able to multitask, child. One moment may be for healing, one moment may be for living and having a good time, and then you go back and you start back over. I mean, you have to live life and enjoy the things that bring you happiness, but you also have to show gratitude as well, and you also have to be willing to show up for yourself every day. Hiding out and waiting for the perfect moment ain't gonna get it, girl. Life is meant to be lived. You're supposed to get up, you're supposed to get out, and you're supposed to do something. When I was talking about the process, one thing I learned while going through my own processes is you can't force anything. You can't force it. It's either there or it's not. And I learned this through, I guess I can say I really learned this through writing, because I have some moments where I'm at it and I'm writing like crazy, and I have some moments when I'm empty and I ain't got nothing. And I don't know where the character gonna go, and I don't know how this gonna end, and X, Y, and Z. I know when it comes to your process, you cannot force it. You have to just be able to, exist in those high moments and those low moments and be okay with that. While you may be at an all-time high and you feel like you on go and you are able to tackle everything at once and you feel like Superwoman, you may hit a day where you feel like you don't know what to do, and maybe you just don't have the energy to do it, or you just lost. You feel like, okay, I've accomplished all of this, now what? And I'm telling you, you wait. You be patient. The process is the process. You cannot force the process. You have to be patient, and you have to trust that that thing that you're waiting for will come to you when it's supposed to come to you. You have to trust that everything is going to happen when it's supposed to happen. You can't force it to happen quicker than it's supposed to. It's going to happen exactly when it's supposed to. That's what I believe. Everybody's different. But I don't think that you can force things when it comes to life in general. But it's almost like the more you try to force it, the more it'll run away from you. I noticed that. Like the more you try to force something to you, the more it's gonna like almost repel you in a way. So you have to almost you just have to trust that it's gonna come to you, because it will. You just have to just believe that it's gonna get there when it's supposed to get there. When it get there, it's gonna get there, and you take advantage of it. And then when you back in limbo, change your focus and go to the next thing. Yeah, I wanted to make a video on that because I feel like a lot of people are waiting for the perfect advice, the perfect moment, the perfect lighting, the perfect camera, the perfect relationship, the perfect personality, to be healed perfectly. And it's like, girl, that's never gonna happen. That I'm telling you right now, none of those things are ever going to happen. You're never gonna have a perfect moment. It's never gonna be perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. So you have to be willing to live life as is. I feel like as long as the life that you will live, or the journey you are deciding to take, as long as it's not harming anybody, and it's not stopping anybody else's blessings or their life, etc., then you're doing just fine. It doesn't have to be approved by everybody else. Nobody else has to like it. As long as it works for you, as long as you like it, that is what works. That is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't even know if I said that in the last one, but don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.